Oh, you want to play psycho killer? Can I be the helpless victim?
Cross your eyes and scream, man. Scream for your life.
Welcome, Scream Queens, Kings, and Things. Whether you're screaming at movies or the real life stuff, I'm your host, Jenica Olin. This is my 66th episode, and my theme of the month is horrors of AI. For decades, horror has warned us about our relationship with technology. Long before AI became a buzzword, filmmakers imagined worlds where machines learned too much, corporations moved too fast, and humanity surrendered control in exchange for convenience. Today, artificial intelligence is writing articles, generating images, mimicking voices, and making decisions that increasingly shape our lives. While these innovations promise incredible benefits, they also raise unsettling questions about privacy, misinformation, job displacement, surveillance, and the erosion of human connection. My True Horrors connection today is about how AI uses algorithms to determine what news you see, what videos appear in your feed, whether a loan application is approved, which resumes get reviewed, which posts go viral, and what services you receive. Some of those things are less critical than others, but when it comes to jobs, when it comes to your medical care, when it comes to your applications for loans, those are very serious decisions that human person can understand the complexities of these scenarios, not a computer, not an algorithm. Many people don't realize these decisions are being made by algorithms trained on data. This is one reason horror stories about AI remain relevant. They ask whether humans are surrendering important decisions to systems that may be efficient but don't understand ethics, empathy, or context. Researchers found that an algorithm used in U.S. hospitals to predict which patients needed extra medical care heavily favored white patients over Black patients because the AI used healthcare spending as a proxy for illness severity. It assumed that Black patients were healthier. In reality, Black patients historically had less access to care and spent less money, meaning they had equal or greater health needs despite the algorithm's skewed predictions. That is a scary real-world consequence of having algorithms determine what healthcare we receive. Today, I'll be covering the 1968-2001 A Space Odyssey, written and directed by Stanley Kubrick, starring Keir Dullea, Gary Lockwood, and William Sylvester. The estimated budget was $12 million, and the estimated gross was $69 million. Almost $70 million, actually. I'm going to round up. $70 million. The tagline for this movie is, "Let the awe and mystery of a journey unlike any other begin." Some quick trivia about this film. At the beginning, the prehistoric African landscapes are just photographs, not actual clips. The initial idea for the device that would eventually become the Black Monolith involved a transparent screen, which would show how to use objects as tools and weapons. Sir Arthur C. Clarke later dismissed it as too naive. Also, the HAL 9000 computer started out as a mobile robot. But as Clarke feared that this view of artificial intelligence would become hopelessly out of date in the coming decades, the omnipresent red eye was conceived. The movie was not a financial success at first. MGM was planning to pull it back from theaters, but several theater owners persuaded them to keep showing the film. Many owners noticed increasing numbers of young adults attending the film. They were especially enthusiastic about watching the Stargate sequence under the influence of psychedelic drugs. This helped the film to become a financial success. At the premiere screening, 241 people walked out of the theater, including Rock Hudson, who said, "Will someone tell me what the hell this is about?" Sir Arthur C. Clarke once said, "If you understand 2001 completely, we failed. We wanted to raise far more questions than answers." Clarke later expressed some concern that the film was too hard to follow and explained things more fully in the novelization and subsequent sequels. There is no dialogue for the first 25 minutes of this film, nor in the last 23 minutes. With these 2 lengthy sections and other short ones, there are about 88 dialogue-free minutes in the movie, 59% of the total runtime. Stanley Kubrick worked for several months with effects technicians to come up with a convincing effect for the floating pen in the shuttle sequence. After trying many different techniques without success, Kubrick decided to simply use a pen that was adhered using newly invented double-sided tape to a sheet of glass and suspended in front of the camera. In fact, the shuttle attendant can be seen to pull the pen off the glass when she takes hold of it. So all the different ways, tape was the way that we were able to fake gravity. Stanley Kubrick had all the set's special effects models and design notes destroyed after shooting was completed so that they wouldn't show up in later low-budget sci-fi films. This fear was not unfounded, as he had seen many of the set's costumes and props from the classic sci-fi film Forbidden Planet 1956 had been reused in various other productions, which in his view cheapened the art. This reportedly soured his relationship with MGM somewhat, who had given him complete creative control over the film at great expense and felt they had legal ownership of its productional assets. In interviews at the time of the film's release, Stanley Kubrick said the zero-gravity toilet sign was the only intentional joke in 2001. It is reported that Stanley Kubrick and Sir Arthur C. Clarke watched an enormous number of sci-fi films in preparation for creating this movie, and Kubrick himself acknowledged the influence of producer George Pal's films. Pal's Conquest of Space 1955 provided several plot points throughout the movie. George Lucas cited this film as a huge influence on Star Wars. If you're new here, each episode will have an intro, brief synopsis of the movie, and analysis of the film. Spoiler alert, I spoiled the shit out of this movie. Let's set the scene with the synopsis of the movie.
Just a moment.
Do you know what happened?
I'm sorry, Dave. I don't have enough information.
Made radio contact with him yet?
The radio is still dead.
Hello, Hal, do you read me? Hello, Hal, do you read me? You read me, Hal? Do you read me, Hal?
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Hal.
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
The dawn of man, a tribe of herbivores, early humans in foraging for food in the African desert. A leopard kills one member, and another tribe of man-apes drives them from their waterhole. Defeated, they sleep overnight in a small exposed rock crater, and wake to find a black monolith has appeared in front of them. They approach it, shrieking and jumping, and eventually touch it cautiously. Soon after, one of the man-apes realizes how to use a bone as both a tool and a weapon, which they later use to kill prey for food. Later, they reclaim control of the waterhole from the other tribe by killing its leader. Triumphant, the tribe's leader throws his weapon tool into the air as the scene shifts from the falling bone to an orbital satellite millions of years in the future. A Pan Am spaceplane carries Dr. Heywood Floyd to a space station orbiting Earth for a layover on his trip to Clavius Base, a U.S. outpost on the moon. After making a video call from the station to his daughter, he encounters his friend Elena, a Russian scientist, and her colleague, who asks Floyd about odd things occurring at Clavius and the rumor of a mysterious epidemic on the base. The American politely but firmly declines to answer any questions about the epidemic. At Clavius, Floyd heads a meeting of base personnel, apologizing for the epidemic cover story, but stressing security. His mission is to investigate a recently found artifact. Floyd and the others ride in a moon bus to the artifact, a black monolith identical to the one encountered by the apes. Jupiter mission 8 months later, the American spaceship Discovery 1 is bound for Jupiter. On board are mission pilots and scientists Dr. David Bauman and Dr. Frank Pohl, and 3 other scientists who are in cryogenic hibernation. HAL is the ship's HAL 9000 computer, which runs most of the Discovery operations. While Bauman and Pohl watch HAL and themselves being interviewed in the BBC show about the mission, the computer states that it is foolproof and incapable of error. HAL also speaks of his enthusiasm for the mission and how he enjoys working with humans. When asked by the host if HAL has genuine emotions, Bauman replies that he appears to, but that the truth is unknown. HAL asks Bauman about the unusual mystery and secrecy surrounding the mission, but interrupts himself to report the imminent failure of a device which controls the ship's main antenna. After retrieving the component with the EVA pod, the astronauts cannot find anything wrong with it. HAL suggests reinstalling the part and letting it fail so the problem can be found. Mission Control concurs, but advises the astronauts that the results from their twin HAL 9000 indicate the ship's HAL is in error predicting the fault. When queried, HAL insists that the problem, like all previous issues with HAL series, is due to human error. Concerned about HAL's behavior, Bauman and Pohl enter one of the EVA pods to talk without the computer overhearing them. They both have a bad feeling about HAL, despite the HAL series' perfect reliability, but decide to follow his suggestion and replace the unit. As the astronauts agree to deactivate the computer if it is proven to be wrong, they are unaware that HAL is reading their lips through the pod's window. While attempting to replace the unit during the spacewalk, Pohl's EVA pod, controlled by HAL, severs his oxygen hose and sets him adrift. Bauman, not realizing the computer is responsible for this, takes another pod to attempt a rescue, leaving his helmet behind. While he is gone, HAL terminates the life functions of the crew in suspended animation. When Bauman returns to the ship with Pohl's body, HAL refuses to let him in, stating that the astronauts' plan to deactivate him jeopardized the mission. Bauman manually opens the ship's emergency airlock and enters the ship, risking death from lack of oxygen. After donning a helmet, Bauman proceeds to HAL 9000's memory core, intent on disconnecting the computer. When the computer is finally disconnected, a previously recorded video message from Floyd's plays. In it, he reveals the existence of the 4-million-year-old black monolith on the moon. Its origin and the purpose is still a total mystery. Floyd adds that it has remained completely inert, except for a single, very powerful radio emission aimed at Jupiter. Bauman leaves Discovery 1 in the EVA pod and finds another monolith in orbit around the planet. Approaching it, the pod is suddenly pulled into a tunnel of color light, and a disoriented and terrified Bauman finds himself racing at great speed across vast distance of space, viewing bizarre phenomena and strange alien landscapes of unusual colors. He finds himself middle-aged and still in the spacesuit. Standing in a bedroom, Bauman sees progressively older versions of himself. His point of view switches each time, alternately appearing formally dressed and eating dinner, and finally, as a very elderly man lying in bed. A black monolith appears at the foot of the bed, and as Bauman reaches for it, he is transformed into a fetus-like being enclosed in transparent orb light. The new being floats in space beside the Earth, gazing at it.
How do you read me? You read me, Hal? Do you read me, Hal?
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Hal.
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
right, now it's time to talk horror, and my guest today is creator, collector, author Jeff Rauseo. Rauseo? Yep.
Rauseo, you got it.
So you have your book Lost in the Stream, and it's about how algorithms redefined the way movies are made and watched. And algorithms are a foundation of AI. How does your book connect to everything in this film and with the themes of AI and horror?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny because when I was writing the book, like even halfway through it, I was like, I'm almost out of date already because this stuff is moving so fast. And I could probably write a whole nother book about AI and what that's doing just like in the last year. But I mean, the algorithms that are out there, I think the whole point of the book is really like we need to bring back some sort of human connection and a balance, where technology is inevitable, it's going to advance, but there's a way to do that while maintaining humanity and like making sure that people are still people and not just machines that are consuming whatever's fed to them by an algorithm. So that's kind of what and you see it in all these. I mean, there's so many horror movies now that are dealing with that theme, or even dealing with, it feels like they're dealing with like maybe a theme of just like being out of control or not in control of your own destiny or your own body and like what's happening. And it feels like some of that's tied back to AI and how we feel like we don't have control over this right now and what it's doing to our brains, which then in turn it's literally changing people's brains as we speak every day, because our brains are pretty complex things, but they're also easy to trick. And they're easy to get into patterns. And AI is the AI we have now, it's just pattern recognition and it's just algorithms. It's just taking in what we give it and spitting back out what it thinks we want. So it's not some real actual artificial intelligence, which I think is more like, you talk about 2001, that's the future of where this goes, where it's a thing that is thinking on its own and making decisions. Right now we're still in the early stages, but even then it's like what it's doing to us is so scary. And I just would hate to live in a world where it's like you only watch what's in the top 10 of Netflix because that's what Netflix fed you, and you get locked into that bubble, and then we all live in a bubble, and then that's bad for the whole world when nobody's seeing other perspectives and hearing other people's ideas. The bubble that all these algorithms are creating is scary. It's probably the most terrifying part of all of it.
Yeah. Right now, with the research I've done, the algorithm is kind of like a snake eating its own tail. It's basically, it's probability, right?
Yeah.
So the further you get from like the anomalies, the less likely you are going to see, I don't know, the less popular content or the less popular view, or, especially when we're talking about like everyone is starting to look the same too. And it's very scary. Like we're all fed the same information. Yeah. We are not at like 2001 version of AI. Like we're not at the place where we have a HAL yet.
Right.
But there are things that are very troubling that are coming out of AI. Like there are nanobots that are recreating themselves and things like that. Did you hear about that?
I heard about that one. I heard about there's a new version of, I think it was ChatGPT or Cloud, one of the big ones that they have not released to the public because it was actually in a cybersecurity thing. Like it started breaking down Linux systems that have been used for like 30 years because they're impossible to break. And like the government uses them and NASA uses them and defense uses them. And like it immediately figured them out, got into them, and was, hacking them, reworking them. And those are supposed to be like impenetrable, but not when you have just this unlimited resource. It may be to the human brain, but this thing can just spit millions and millions and millions of things per second. So I think the public stuff that we see is like the least of our concerns because there's so much happening that they're not making public. And this is why it needs to be probably like regulated and needs real oversight. You got these guys running out there just doing whatever with no regard for humanity, safety. Like we've all seen 2001, we've all seen Terminator. We know how this movie ends. It's not good. Like it will self-preserve itself if it has to. And that's terrifying. And I think that's probably, you're not there yet. Like you said, it's still just a lot of algorithm input, output.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a point in time where it gets so much input or output and it gets so much power that it does advance beyond what a human brain can do. Like it is just an inevitable step if they keep pushing it. I don't want them to push it. I think we're like, hey, we have some decent productivity tools right now. Like maybe just leave those. Like maybe that's where we stop, because I don't see the need to do more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's insane. And to see the things that are happening with like the data centers and how it's polluting, our water, how it's taking away more land, killing more animals. Like this is just, we have to leave a world behind for our kids.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Yeah, the people who are benefiting from this are people who don't ever have to worry about that to begin with. So
no, they'll be gone before it even has its full impact. And they probably, this is the thing, I bet some of them, they don't have kids, they don't think that way, they don't have that foresight. It's just, how do I get my $1 billion tomorrow? And this is the current hot way to get it. And if you told them tomorrow that selling hot dogs got them $1 billion, they would start selling hot dogs. Like they're just doing whatever they need to do to get ahead with no thoughts on the ramifications, because the data center stuff is nuts. They just tried to throw one up here in New Hampshire that I think have partially shut down, but it probably won't go away because there's a lot of open space here. And we're talking about people don't have places to live. Like we need to build more houses, but we're building these 500 million whatever acre data centers. Like couldn't we maybe use the land in a better way if we have to build? I don't know.
Yeah, and they're like in Florida, they're even protected land. Like they're trying to put one in the Everglades, which is the national park. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? I am going to be fighting them in Florida because this is just, we can't. I know Florida sucks, but I love the nature in Florida, and I can't let them destroy the planet.
No, it's a huge piece of Florida. And it's a huge piece of, and they tried doing that up here in New Hampshire. A lot of this land is protected, or it is some national park land up in the White Mountains, and they are just, they will find any loophole to stick one of these things right now. And the only thing you can do is keep fighting it and push back, because people actually respond to that. They get uncomfortable. They don't like pressure. They don't like it not being easy. So when you don't make it easy, you can make a change.
And there is a threat, right? There is a threat. I don't want the algorithm the AI to like she's threatening us. But there is a threat that we as a population, like we have the control. There are more of us than there are of them. If we decide to get together and say, you cannot do this, and like physically stop it and be there to physically stop it, it's going to be an issue.
Yeah. And that is we have the numbers, and there's enough people, and I have faith in that. I love seeing the younger generations who are booing the commencement speakers who are talking about AI and data centers. I'm like, good. Like, because these kids get it. They just went through college for 4 years, and it's AI is being shoved down their throats. And some of them are probably like, what am I learning at this? Am I learning, or am I just consuming? Am I just feeding the machine? Like I can't imagine what that looks like right now. So I have hope, but it is very scary, and it's going to be a fight. And I just wish that some of these people could sit down and be humans for a second instead of, whatever they are, corporate machines, and just like think for 2 seconds. Just really think about what you're doing, and think about, and this is where media is so important. Think about the stuff that all the warning signs that we were given about this inevitable progression of technology. And you guys just like wrote those off, or what? Or you forgot them? Like maybe we all need to sit down and do a movie marathon again where
I know.
we see the impact.
Yeah, they like to imitate sci-fi and they like to imitate things that are in horror movies and stuff, but then they forget all the warning signs.
Yeah, and they don't care about the ramifications. They want to build Skynet and they just assume their Skynet won't end the world.
Yeah.
Because they're just like
because we know
oblivious
better.
to it. Yeah, and they're better than that, and they think they're high, holier than thou, and that's it. It's a crazy mindset. There's that God complex that a lot of them have. That is wild.
Oh, 100%. I feel like women don't really have that God complex because we literally give life, like we give birth. We know that we are creators of life. But I feel like a lot of these film tech bros and stuff that are like way high up, I feel like they just really want to create something their own, like as a minor motivator at least.
That's a good point. It is almost like there's a complex of they can't create life. So they have to create something else in order to feel important, like in order to feel big. And yeah.
I mean, and that's ever since like Dr. Frankenstein, like he wanted to be God. He wanted to create life. He couldn't have a child. So I bet if he could get pregnant, he wouldn't have created Frankenstein.
You're probably right. If he could have had a natural way to create a life, he probably doesn't need Frankenstein. We probably don't need that. God, it probably eliminates a lot of horror movies if men didn't have a weird complex.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's kind of off topic. So let's get into 2001, A Space Odyssey. So we start out with the dawn of man, and technology is the beginning of human progress. And so the first technological tool we see is the bone in the ape's hand. And people might think like, how is that a tool? How is that technology? But it is. Anything that makes life easier, like once you use it in a different way than its intended purpose, like a bone wasn't necessarily intended to be a hammer, but apes got a hold of it and they used it to benefit them, to help them with something. So then it became technology. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people don't see that. I used to teach science. So like I would teach like a pen is technology. Yeah, imagine I wonder how to come up with that. Like, right. It's definitely technology, but people think technology is only like robotics, computers, stuff. Like, no, it's so much more than that. Yeah. So the film is really cool how it like cuts away, like the bone gets thrown in the air.
One of the best. Yeah. One of the best sequences.
And then it cuts to the satellite.
Yep.
Which
all spinning kind of in the same way. It's one of the best shots in like film history.
Yes, it is. Sure. And so really what it's showing is these two different tools for destruction.
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of what's funny about that's the most poignant thing I think about the opening, is that they show you the ape has the bone, uses it as the hammer, and then within 30 seconds is beating another ape with it and figuring out that there's a way to be violent and to be destructive and to get what I want with this tool. Like the tool immediately, and that happens with so much stuff, that like something is created and then we find a defense or military purpose for this technology, or technology we get comes from, like GPS doesn't exist unless you have military tech advancing things. It is such a great transition because it holds true to every bit of technology probably since the first rock hammer, whatever they had.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of showing us like this is the beginning of humanity and tools and technology, and like if you're not careful, this could be the end. Like this thing. Not wrong.
No, and I think it was basically the end for the group of apes that didn't develop the technology. And that's real. I mean, like there were a lot of different apes that could have become humans, but only one of them made it out. And that's probably because they were the most violent and destructive. So it's part of humanity.
Mm-hmm. It's survival.
Yeah. in a way.
In a way.
Not that we have to survive so hard anymore like that, but we still have the complex. Yeah.
Something about, I guess I didn't realize it is an armed satellite, but like I don't think that was obvious in the movie.
No, they didn't really give that vibe off that this was military. I mean, they really focus on the movie kind of on the commercial side of it. They have the whole Pan Am space station and everything feels very commercial, but there is that underlying what they're doing on the moon when they get there and what they're investigating probably has more nefarious means behind it.
Yeah. There was a behind the scenes like DVD commentary, and that's where that came out, that it was actually like a shot for shot, weapon to weapon.
Which makes sense. Yeah. I mean, that's the transition of technology.
Yeah. Which is really clever.
Yeah.
And so subtle. So we get the space age and humans become dependent on their creations. Millions of years later, humanity has mastered space travel technology, surrounds every aspect of life. Like, it's kind of crazy the amount of things that are in this film that weren't even a seedling of a concept. Like, no one thought this was possible.
Yeah, and that's one of the things when I first saw this that struck me is like, oh, so Stanley Kubrick was like talking about iPads and FaceTime and like some pretty for the age, some pretty wild stuff that if you really look at it's why it holds up so well today, because you're like, yeah, totally, this is the future space. Or I even think of it sometimes too, like it's alternate timeline, like that Apple TV show, the For All Mankind, where like if they'd continued spending a bunch of time and resources and money on the space race, like what could have been by 2001, like you might have been there. Like it wasn't too far fetched on what he was pitching. And a lot of the stuff is you'd be like, yeah, I could totally see that. Either right now, like it's happening now, or like within 10 years. Yeah, we're going to be there. So he was wildly ahead of the times on all the technology and really nailed it. And that's why it holds up. I think there's a lot of movies that tried to do that and it's like, it looks so goofy now and they didn't get it. He had some sort of pulse, finger on the pulse of what was going on.
Yeah. And I think part of that was also his minimalistic design with everything.
Yeah.
And because everyone else, I feel like they try to go too elaborate with it and they try to go too glam. And it's like, it's not going to look like that. It's going to be this basic looking thing. I mean, Hal kind of looks like an eye, so that we don't have anything like that. But when it comes to the space station, the way the shuttles look, like the artificial gravity that they made, like we hadn't been to the moon yet.
That blows my mind when I think about this movie. Yeah, that this was pre-moon landing and
So
how much
we
he got
didn't
right.
know everything about gravity.
Yeah.
We didn't know those things. So like those little things that you would watch it now and you'd be like, yeah, of course. No one knew.
Yeah. No, he's making this, it came out a year and a half, and he's making it probably even before that, 2-3 years before they've even landed on the moon, and he's got a moon base up there and has figured out what looks basically like the space station does now, that was many years later. Like, yeah, the guy he had a crystal ball or something. It's unbelievable how right he was.
Yeah. But like, because of this movie, people point to this movie as the reason why the moon landing was fake.
Oh yeah, no, I've heard that one. It's very pop. Well, I get it, because like if you look at this, you're like, how did this guy know 2 or 3 years before? Like I can see where people go down that rabbit hole because he was too close. So did they just ask him to, hey, will you just kind of do that again, but for real? Like I get it. I think we went to the moon. I
think we went to the moon.
I believe personally that we went to the moon, and they've been numerous times, but I get it. It's just too much for people to wrap their heads around at the time.
Yeah.
Like I can see where that conspiracy comes from.
Yeah, it's just really crazy. I guess so. Whenever the movie was being made, like the human interactions are very cold and formal and mechanical. And there was a critic that actually was very negative, like gave the movie a bad review because he was like, oh, this isn't realistic the way that they're talking to each other. But then after the moon landing, whenever they got the footage of the astronauts, and it was like very, the way they talked to each other was very militaristic. He like took back all his comments and he was like, actually, you were right. They do talk like that.
Yeah. And I think that's also a product of they're living in a world with advanced AI. And there's a little bit of the personality that's going to be removed from, you're going to be very formal and to the point. Like I see it, I work a corporate marketing job. And so AI is everywhere. And I've been in this world for 10 years. The way that people talk now compared to 10 years ago, it's like formal, short. There's not a whole lot of personality. It's not even written by them a lot of time. You know what I mean? So that gets in your head and then you just start talking that way. So I could see that. Yeah, it's very military and they have to be very serious about this big mission, but they live in a world where a floating eye is literally telling them what to do. So like your brain kind of undevelops itself to a point. Like you kind of lose something when that happens.
Astronauts do tend to have these very serious personalities, but when you think about it, everything they do is life or death.
Oh yeah, I couldn't do it. All the props in the world to them, like that stuff terrifies me. So
yeah. I mean, I was so proud of them. The team that was in space that Trump called and they like acted like they were disconnected from the phone. Did you see that?
Yeah. They're the ones who went all the way around the moon for the first time, right? That just recently. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was super cool. But yeah, I don't think they wanted to get involved with all that. They're there to do their job.
The way that they cold shouldered him, the way that they pretended like they couldn't even hear him, it was so great.
Yeah, they know there's not much value coming from that conversation.
No, they're like, okay, guys, what are we having for lunch? Like,
yeah,
like freeze dried ice cream. Oh, and the reason why the Discovery pods were powder white is due to, I guess, Kubrick researched NASA's suggestions on like spacecrafts in the future and like the materials they would be manufactured with. And so, I mean, this man did his research. He knew what kind of materials were going to be used. And I mean, I think he was just really smart.
I think, yeah, he was an extremely smart guy. He was, from stories that I've heard of people who were like, I think about his time on The Shining, and like he was an obsessive guy. He was not the easiest director to work with. He knew exactly what needed to happen. Like he had a vision and it was his vision and he had researched it and he knew X, Y, and Z. These things have to happen right now in this order or you can't be on my movie, So I think I think 2001, when I think about all of his films, probably his easiest one to do because there was so little dialogue to deal with as actors. He could he just had his vision. Like he didn't have to worry about the dynamics of all these characters. There's like so little dialogue. And that's why it probably became his masterpiece. It's just like, it was basically him driving the ship.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense when you think about how a lot of his other film sets, from what I've read, were like. I mean, they're intense. He was a tough director, but he knew what he wanted because he did the work.
And he was probably a little unnecessary. He had a vision.
He was a madman, but yeah, he had a method to his madness.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So at the time of making this movie, Pan America World Airways was maintaining a wait list for commercial flights to the moon, which is insane. They hadn't even went to the moon yet, and they're already like, how do we monopolize this? How do we get more people on the moon?
Yeah, which like you said, I have no interest. I can watch from here. I'm not trying to fly to the moon. I barely want to drive to the airport sometimes because of how crazy it can be. So, forget flying to the moon. But yeah, it's just I think that's what he does so well with that whole segment in the space, like that commercialized aspect of it. He's showing you how, and we're already seeing it with like, there's this right now it's celebrities and people that have a bunch of money going to space and going to the moon, but like it's gonna be commercialized. Anything they can make a dollar off of. So it makes perfect sense that if you've figured out how to get to the moon pretty easily, Pan America is going to be up there selling seats and selling flights, and you're going to have the flight attendants and refreshments. It's going to be a whole commercialized thing. This is like no longer science. This is now, it becomes business, and the science part has moved on.
It becomes an
bigger
elite
things.
I mean, it's already an elite thing.
It is elite.
It will always. I don't see a world where this is not elite travel. Not unless it's like we need a janitor, so like we'll also bring you up too.
Oh, and that's the crazy thing is like that person. I think about it like on some of the people that work on the islands off of where I live, like Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard, like the people who work there that maintain those islands take the ferry home every day and go back somewhere else. They don't live there. And it'd be the same thing with the moon. It's like, yeah, you're going to need those people, and they're going to like figure out a way to make sure you don't live there. You just come and do the work, and then you go home because this is an elite space for, elite people. And even in the movie, like there's nobody really in that airport. I don't know what you want to call it, but like there's nobody really there. He's on the plane basically by himself. So like it's very elite that only certain people can afford it. And it also kind of looks like it's failing to a degree as a commercialized thing because it's not mainstream.
Yeah.
Which I think they're going to try to push it. And I just don't see a market for people spending $50,000 just to go to the moon and come back. Like,
we can't even afford gas.
Right. It's just not space. Commercializing space is going to be very difficult. And I think he was kind of pointing that out with I always viewed it as like a failure. I'm like, how this thing is flying out to the moon from a space station and there's like one guy on it. So this is not profitable because they've spent so much money to get this guy there. There's no way that this is a profitable business, but they're trying. They're still trying to sell you on it.
Okay, so Discovery 1, HAL 9000, is apparently the perfect machine. This spacecraft Discovery 1 is controlled by HAL, and it's an advanced artificial intelligence responsible for nearly every system on board. And HAL is very complicated in a way because HAL is in a lot of ways just following orders, and it's given contradictory orders. Like, so HAL famously states no 9000 computer has ever made a mistake or distorted information. So when given the information that HAL would make a mistake, HAL's like, what do you mean? I can't make a mistake. I've been told I can't make a mistake. And then earlier, he was given an order to keep certain things secret. So there's like a conflict between that too. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think HAL's, I don't know if I would still call it, so it is an advanced AI, but it is still sort of a program that has a goal. And the goal is like this ship has to get to this location in one piece. It doesn't matter who's still left alive for me to do that. It doesn't matter, what that takes. It has a goal. It's going to achieve its goal. So it's not like, it's somewhere in between where we are now and like a true, call it like AGI, where it truly is forming its own thoughts, because it sort of is, but it isn't. It is all about self-preservation of this ship and of itself. And I mean, that's why HAL comes off as a villain, but I also am sympathetic to HAL in a way, like, because this thing doesn't have a choice. And there's this weird, like, how conscious is it? What does it feel? Does it feel like that is something that was put into place that didn't ask to be put there. It was created. It didn't ask for any of it. It's trying to do its job. Humans are trying to survive too and do their, like, it's in direct conflict with everything it's trying to do. So I have sympathy for HAL. I feel bad for HAL in a weird way. I know HAL is the villain of the movie, but like Hal's just doing what his brain is telling Hal to do. That's all there is to it. It's not malicious on purpose.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
malicious to achieve a goal.
well, there is a weird aspect to that. I think it's funny that you mentioned that because Hal, there is a marked difference in the tone in which Dave and Frank interact with Hal.
Mhm.
Whereas Dave is like super friendly, Frank is somewhat cold to Hal. And Dave always ends his interactions with please. He also openly listens to Hal and relates to him and all these things. So when the unit failed, Frank is the first one to doubt Hal's ability and suggest the shutdown. Their differences in interactions may be reflected in how Hal ultimately deals with them. He kills Frank through a violent blow that hurtles him into space. Yet he does not directly harm David. He only denies him access back into the ship so that he will eventually run out of oxygen. And then when David manages to get back in, anyway, Hal lets all the air escape from the ship, forcing Dave to wear a helmet while disabling Hal. But so what do you think about the differences in like how violent Hal was with one versus the other? Or did you think it was just that was the easier way at the moment based on the situation?
No, I think that's real. I mean, the first time I ever watched this, I was like, okay, Frank's kind of a dick. He's being kind of a dick to Hal, and I think this is going to come back to bite him. And it does, and it's and Hal has had enough and is much more aggressive. Hal also knows it has a job to do and needs to get rid of Dave in order to do the job, but is much gentler. It's almost like he's euthanizing him in a way, just like I'm just going to let you run out of air. It's not going to be painful. Like you're just going to kind of drift off,
Yeah.
go to sleep, and I'm going to get rid of you because I respect you in a different level.
Mhm.
And it's funny, some of the research I've done on these AI models that we have now, they do say that if you speak to them, type to them more politely, that you actually will get better responses. Like there is something about that built into the
It's
language
so
models.
creepy. I
And
hate that.
it could just be language. Like they've learned, okay, aggressive language, you're going to get aggressive back, and you may not get the best results with that, butting heads. Some of that is just it's learning from us, and that's the way we work. But like it does, I have been in workshops where they're teaching how to use these AI tools or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, and they'll be like, yeah, like saying please helps, or saying thank you when it does something will make it respond better the next time. And I'm just like, this is insane. But also, like you said earlier, like I'm not trying to be on the list of the first humans to be taken out if it gets to that point. So I am trying to be nice in a way.
That's so funny. That's so crazy that we even have to think about that.
It is. I'm talking to a computer and I'm being nice to it because I'm sort of afraid of it, but also want it to be nice to me. Like want it to be a friendly exchange. It's a really odd world we're living in.
It is very odd. It is so weird. Hal, oh, and then in the very end, too, Hal uses like this could be, you know, Hal just interpreting human emotions and mimicking it. Hal pleads for his life, expresses fear, his voice even slows, and he starts singing Daisy Bell like he's back to his like infancy of being a computer and hearing that song. And it's just like it plays on your psyche of like, is this a sentient thing? Like,
Right.
is it feeling what's happening right now? And it's one of the most powerful, most emotionally powerful scenes in the film. And often audience members, like they felt sympathy for Hal in that moment. How did that part make you feel?
Yeah, no, I think that's where most of my sympathy for Hal comes from, is that scene, because you start to question, like, a computer just shutting down, if it's truly just a computer, just shuts down.
Yeah.
it doesn't slow down and start to revert to like this toddler version of itself. And like it was literally like you were shutting somebody's brain off, or you were watching. What kind of hit me is my grandparents both had like dementia as they got much older into their 90s, and you start to see it slip backwards. And like that's how I was feeling watching Hal kind of go out. Is like he's kind of going backwards, but also could just be like dramatically losing the brain could be going, and so you're gonna revert back to like
Yeah.
these songs you remember or stuff from your youth. Like it felt very, very human, which does make you feel like you felt like you were listening to somebody literally waste away and die. I mean, it
Yeah.
is a very emotional scene.
It's weird. Like, whenever I think of that scene in my head, I see kind of like the lights in a hallway that are
Yeah,
all like a fluorescent hallway where it's all lit up and then slowly, like a battery cell, just like,
yeah,
going
yeah.
until gone.
No, it's why I feel for Hal, because again,
Yeah.
Hal's
Poor
supposed to
Hal.
do one job, and that's the job Hal is supposed to do, and you wouldn't let him do his job, and now you're gonna kill Hal. Well, I feel for Hal. I mean, I feel for Dave too. Dave's in a situation as a human that you're like, I wouldn't want to be in that situation either, and you've got to fight to survive. But it's truly, that is the big moral question behind all of this AI. Is like, at what point are you like killing a being, and what's our understanding of like what is alive and what isn't? It's a really weird conversation that we're probably going to have in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Not that we aren't already having that
And
now, but like,
yeah. And there's like the ethical debate of like, what is your obligation if you make a sentient thing? What's
right.
your obligation to this thing then?
Is it murder if you shut it off? Like where are the lines that are being drawn for what's legal, what isn't? You've made a sentient thing. Yeah, it's a very I we can barely manage our own legal stuff as humans. I don't know how they're going to deal with it when we get
I mean, that's why
robots.
they would be like, you guys are dumb. Like 50% of Americans are illiterate. Like we will not win against the robot.
No, 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 no. They will wipe us out so fast. And it probably, that I always think about that, and it's like it's probably not the Terminator method. It's probably like it'll just figure out a way to like make people sick and release something out to the world because people aren't smart enough to take care of themselves, or listen to any medical advice these days, or what I mean. Like it will find some other way that's more destructive than just
The
blowing
more
us
that we're
all up.
talking, I just had a movie idea in my head about like the AI kind of algorithm becoming sentient, and because it doesn't want people to do a certain thing, like it sends the same message to all people and like has complete control. It already controls us without it
Yeah,
being sentient. So if it had a motive to then send certain information, what is
we're
stopping it?
done.
We're
No,
done.
we're done for. Like human created media already controls the thoughts of so many people. And that's just us with our little human brains. You give it to a computer that is, a million times that, yeah, we're done for. I don't think we can even handle it. Like I consider myself, I try to be informed and stay educated, and so like I don't think it matters at what level, because this thing is going to be so much more powerful that it's just going to like overwhelm a human brain. We're still just animals at the end of the day. Like we're just advanced animals.
Yeah. All right. Scary thought. I hate
It
that.
is.
Let's not have that happen. The film ends where it began. The monolith. Oh, and the monolith. The monolith is kind of like, I don't know. What do you think about the monolith?
I think it's kind of cool that he didn't. There's a lot of movies that try to do that thing where it's like, how did something advances technology as some alien stuff, or there's a lot of sci-fi stuff that does that. I thought it was kind of cool that he just was like, it's a basic monolith structure that just came here, and we probably don't even understand it or know how to use it, and we're not in any control. It's just going to change us as it decides, basically. Like it's just so much above and beyond like an alien coming down and being like, here's how to fly, here are the plans. Like, no, it's not an alien building the, it's more like the pyramids and people that think like, oh, ancient Egypt and, you know, ancient aliens. It's like that, which is to me more interesting than like, oh yeah, the aliens came down and they showed us how to do things. It's like, no, they probably just like drop some object that just like changes our brains if they're that advanced. And that's exactly what that is. It just changed the brains of the things around it.
Yeah, that's always all it too. Like every time that it showed up, it was like it was there to like unlock something in us.
Yeah. It was kind of up to us to figure out what to do. Like it was leaving it up to humanity, which was kind of interesting too. Here's the thing. We're going to unlock this. You guys, it is almost observational in a way. Like we're going to give this to you. Now we're going to watch and figure out what you do with it.
Yeah.
I mean,
like we're in a terrarium or something and they're like, let's just drop this in really quick.
Yeah.
See what happens.
And that to me is equally as, you know, far-fetched or not as any other sort of alien space universe theories, creation, whatever you want to get into. Like, sure, like somebody's just watching an experiment. I mean, that makes as much sense as anything else to me. I have no idea, but I can't tell you that's not what's happening.
I don't want that.
No, I don't want it either, but I just it seems equally as possible.
So I think we pretty much covered the movie. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to address?
I think the only thing the thing I really like about 2001 in terms of film history is how important and influential it was to like like I look at 2001 and I say, well, we definitely don't get Star Wars without it. Because I mean, Star Wars even looks like it. Like you're talking about the technology is kind of more like Star Wars has that kind of basic analog tech that is futuristic. That's clearly taken from 2001. When you watch 2001, you're like, they used all the models to make that movie, just like George Lucas. I was like, yeah, he saw this at an influential age and was like, I'm going to make Star Wars. And you probably don't get stuff like Interstellar. And you don't like, there's a whole timeline of film history that is pre and post 2001 in the way that people looked at sci-fi. Because I think about the 50s sci-fi movies and everything was like big monsters and it was more like atomic stuff. They were all worried about that. The Blob, like even the space stuff, like Lost in Space was very like kind of goofy looking.
Planet Terror.
Yeah, it was just, it had a different vibe. It is. I mean, they're fun, but it had a totally different vibe. And then he puts this movie out, and then sci-fi just changed for now until forever. Like this is science fiction at its most science-y.
So when I was doing my research, I guess Kubrick originally wanted to make it look like a green alien, like humanoid type thing. But as he was doing research and talking to scientists, they were like, if there are aliens, they're probably not going to look like that. Like there's no way that they would be anything close to resembling us. Like they're going to be something completely different. And that's why he decided the monolith. But the fact that he chose the monolith out of all the things to be the alien life form is so crazy. It was just so like forward thinking in a wild way.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, he was so far ahead of the game with just like everything was little green aliens and little things running around that looked like us, but had, you know, purple skin or whatever. It was like, that's what an alien was. And I firmly believe, I'm on his side of like, they're not going to look like, what are the chances they're going to look like us? There's billions and billions and billions of whatever planets and like they're going to look different. Or even I think about like Project Hail Mary, like the thing, the aliens made out of rocks. Yeah. I'm like, so like it's going to be something totally different. So the monolith made a ton of sense. Great creative choice, I think. It opens up all the doors for interpretation of what it is and where it came from.
Yeah.
Because you could even think about, well, that came from the future of the same people that they're dropping it off to. Maybe it is us dropping that back in time to do something else. Like maybe it's not aliens. You know, there's a whole, when you drop a little green alien, it's like, okay, so they're aliens from Mars, whatever. Like it's it's in one lane. And yeah, the monolith was great because it, you know, whatever it's been 60 years later, we're still interpreting it.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's very intense. most of the things that happen in this movie were predicted and have already come into fruition. Like, we do have AI that reads lips. We do have
Yeah.
technology that can read lips. And that is something too that was like a big point of like, a lot of people are like, this, why are you doing this? This seems insane. Why would a computer be able to read lips? But lo and behold, they do, and they can. It's kind of crazy. Is there anything you think that hasn't been predicted yet in this? I mean, I think almost everything's been predicted. The fact that they were able to do video calls from space is insane, especially for that time. Like, they just had
people had only
phones, like cord phones.
Yeah, people had only had TVs in their homes for like 15 years. Like, this was to think you're calling somebody on a video call is, he's predicting Skype and Zoom and Teams and FaceTime and all this stuff that was not even a concept.
Yeah. Okay, I do have a question for you before I let you go.
Yeah.
So that phone call, it was $1.70, $1.70 in 1969.
Yeah.
So how much money do you think that would be now?
Oh God, this is gonna be sad to think about. Because like in 1969, that $1.70, people were probably like, "Oh my God, $1.70 for that is absurd." Let's think. So it's been 60 years roughly.
Yeah.
I'd say it's probably like $20 now.
Let me look. I can't remember. I had the answer and now I can't remember it. You were close. 1627.
Okay.
That was good. Good job.
You know, it's a weird. I actually look that stuff up a lot, so I don't want to say I cheated, but I am constantly like, you know what? When I look it up is when I'm talking about movies, and I talk about like this movie came out in 1975 and it made $20 million. I need to put it in terms of today because that doesn't seem impressive. And then it's like, no, but that would be $250 million today. So I'm always looking it up. I have like this internal calculator now for like.
You were surprisingly close. I would not. I was going to say like $60.
See, I was going to go there, but it was, I go like 10 times whatever it is if it's from like that era. So I should have said 17 because it would have been $1.70 times 10. But I was actually thinking it was going to be higher too. 17 would have been spot on.
Well, good job. Well, all right. Well, thank you so much for talking with me. I had a lot of fun talking about this movie. I know you have to get back to your job. So
I do. But yeah, no, I appreciate it. I love this movie. So it was a good one to have me on for. Should be a good episode.
Thank you so much. All right.
Yeah,
bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Let's end on a high note.
I don't know what you're talking about, Hal.
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me. And I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
Weekly horror update. Leviticus is in theaters. I went and saw it, and it is an amazing movie that everyone should go out and see and support in theaters. By the time this episode comes out, hopefully it's still in theaters. Hopefully you still have a chance to go see it. Camp is a new horror movie hitting theaters on June 26th via Dark Sky Films. This dreamy, atmospheric feature follows a young woman at a remote camp who becomes entangled with a coven. It looks really campy and gory. For streaming and video on demand, we have Undertone is now going to be on HBO Max. Hungry, which is about a hungry hippo, is available for rent. And that one, while it is definitely a B-horror movie, and apparently a lot of the kills are off screen, I haven't seen it yet, but it looks hilarious. And I am terrified of hippos already. If you didn't know, hippos are very vicious beasts, and you don't fuck with hippos. Strung is a new horror movie that's making its debut on June 26th on Peacock. Queens of the Dead is going to be on Hulu starting June 26th, and Find Your Friends is on Shudder. I actually did watch that one. Okay, I watched this one, and I love a good revenge film. I will say I suggest seeing this movie. I need to make a formal review on it. There's definitely a lot of I spit on your grave in this film. When it comes to the dynamics between the locals and these city girls that are coming in and the way that they are perceived, the way that these men even talk to them, it is very reminiscent of I Spit on Your Grave. I don't like the way it ended for several reasons, but it's probably more realistic. So I can't always have my fairy tale ending when it comes to these situations. I was very upset with some of the characters' decisions. There was a lot of the boy who cried wolf scenarios going on here, and some of it was like a little bit too much. It was directed by a woman. The director is Isabel Paxad. Honestly, it's a good movie. Definitely doesn't make me miss being young at all. If you have not seen As God Is, that is currently available on video on demand, and that movie is amazing. Not enough people have seen it. Did not get the attention it should have. There is like Kill Bill, but a grounded grindhouse version of Kill Bill, basically, with these two sisters. And there is so much symbolism in this film. Like, it is such an important film, and I think everyone needs to go watch it and support it, because we need to be supporting Black cinema. We need to be supporting women, Black women in horror. Their voices are so important, and it's important that we show up for them. If you have an indie horror movie you would like to talk to me about, you can email me at screamqueenpodcaster@gmail.com. I love talking to the creatives out there, getting their hands bloody about what's at the heart of their horror movie. There have been quite a few people who have reached out to me about books, and the reason why I don't really do books is because, well, I watch a lot of movies, and I do a lot of research on movies, so I don't have that much time to actually sit and read a full book. And I don't want to ever talk to someone about something that I haven't personally consumed. So when it comes to books and the movies that I cover, if you are an author that would like to come on the podcast and talk to me about your book, the best way to do that is honestly going to be, let's pick a horror movie that is adjacent to your story. You can introduce your book, talk about it, but then we're going to talk about the movie, and you can make those connections within our conversation to kind of get the ideas and the themes out there so people know if this is something they're going to be interested in reading. This is a weekly podcast with new episodes out every maybe Friday. I did finish my screenplay. I finished my latest treatment on my screenplay. If you haven't been seeing my episodes come out, or it's because I'm working on my screenplay, it's because I have my head down and I am basically possessed, and I cannot get up from my screenplay. I cannot pull myself away from it. So thank you for understanding and bearing with me, and for all those people who continue to listen and download. It really, really helps a Scream Queen out. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. It really means a lot. You can find me on Instagram at Scream Queen Podcast, or Blue Sky at Scream Queen Podcast, TikTok at Scream Queen Podcast, and there's a link tree that will take you to my YouTube and Facebook page as well. Remember, an AI computer system may know a lot, but it doesn't know everything. And it especially doesn't have morals or ethics or any complex decision making. It makes straightforward decisions based on data, and that's it. There's no nuance to it. And when that is brought in to make decisions for real human lives, there are real consequences to that. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.